Hi everyone, welcome to a video of mine. I'm actually drawing here today my house I wanted to create in Minecraft. So I'm actually going to show you guys how I'm building my house and how I'm going to construct it. And I actually want to do this in survival. Obviously, I'll most likely put it on easy mode or normal because I've never beaten it, or I will do this in creative. It just kind of depends on what I'm feeling. And I'll most likely try to draw it out because I've normally just planned by just doing it. And so this is looking at backwards, but actually on this side, this is how I'm actually looking at it. So on this side of the paper, well, obviously for you, it would be the opposite side of the paper. No, that's actually correct. So this side of the paper is actually going to be, really going to be this is going to be the botanical. This is actually where I'm going to put like a garden and vegetation, and this side is actually where I'm going to put my bedroom. Now this is actually the main circle, and I actually wanted to put a plant in the center, so this will be basically covered in glass. Well, basically I have armor, my kitchen, furnace and all that stuff. And so I'm really excited to build this house, but really you're looking at it in an opposite point of view, so you're not actually seeing it the way I see it, and everything is opposite. But basically I'm actually going to keep drawing it, and so you guys are actually I'm going to try to explain what I'm doing. So in the middle, this square in the middle is actually where I'm going to put the plant. But I also wanted to create more of a, a nice little round shape. So what I'm actually going to do, because I don't want it to take up too much space, but I also wanted it to look good, I made it so that the inner four squares were the things I was using. So in reality, it's honestly going to be like a cute little square, and there's going to be a tree in the middle. Now, the house can't really have a tree in the true middle because it is 4. And so there's like, if this was 7 squares, it would be 3. But since I wanted a double door, I actually only have, I put it as 8. So I'm not sure how I'm going to do this, but I'm pretty sure I will find a way. I could just make a tree huge. Now I did want it to become like a dome, where I could basically have it like this, but it could also be a great like outdoor source, but I wasn't sure what I was going to do with it. There are so many things I could do with this house that I'm really excited for. I'm not sure how much time I'm going to have in the video by the end, so I'm really talking very quickly. But I already have an idea of where the middle is in the house. Now, I may actually make this a little larger, and maybe a little wider, because the fact that I don't actually have as much room as I intended. Now, I'll probably just have a random tree in the middle, and it may not even be in the middle. I may just have some 4 squared thing in the middle of it. Now, I don't know actually how much space, and this doesn't give me much space at all. Because this is the outskirts, I'm actually putting everything as a full square because this is actually how it's going to be. So I'm literally putting it one square in so that I basically have enough space for it, because I really want it to be looking nice, but basically put it 1 square out. But I want this to really look like, like it's been shaped like this. So, but the thing is that when you make it wider like this, you honestly invite some issues in with the drawing. I will show you what I've actually created, but the proof is that if I make it too large, I won't be able to fit what I want. And since I made it one thing in, it didn't get the way I wanted it to. Now, if I continue moving it out, the problem is that it will become a little too wide. And this is the issue. I won't have much space. If this was a slightly bigger building, if I built this in Minecraft, this is how many squares I'd really have. And pretend that all the squares on the outskirts are glass. So I would have 1, 2, 3, 4. I would have 4 against the edge, and that's not what I wanted. I wanted the space to be big enough to hold this, but also be able to actually have a lot more space than just basically 4 squares. Now 4 squares are still a good amount, but I would still like more. So to make this fair, I think I have to make it 1 step closer. So in this case, I basically have to make it just slightly smaller. So what I'll do is I'll just have to make things just a tad smaller. And I'm basically going to start at the edges where I'm basically going to work my way in at this point instead, so that everything works in. And eventually I will get to the middle where I basically am determining what's going to happen. Now if you give me a couple minutes really quickly, I may just cut this into 2 parts because I may not be able to fit it. I'm not sure, I may only have like 15 minutes, but 5 minutes have already gone by. Now, you guys really can't see it, but here you go. My phone is literally over books, and my book, like the thing I'm having, it doesn't go as far, and my face will show. So here is what I have so far. I'm just pulling them in at this point just so that they, you know, come in. But I'm basically building just on the outside, but I already know where the middle is. So really that's not an issue. I'm just literally erasing anything at the edge. Now, I'm probably going to try and draw like this for now, but this is basically what I'm going to do. Basically have these squares right here, basically kind of create it like it was on the outside, but it will most likely just be like this instead. Even though this is not exactly the design I was hoping for, it still has a good design to it. The design is still a cute little design and honestly has the center. There's 2 squares, 2 squares, 2 squares, and it still fits, and it honestly gives me more space. It gives me 5 squares, and it still gives me plenty of room to put something nice inside. Now, I do plan on having glass, but maybe I should put a big tree, like a beautiful oak with beautiful leaves. Now, this is very hard to do considering that I would have to go into creative and create this big old dome. But I honestly will most likely build it in creative just to see how the house looks, and so if I ever what materials I also want. So this is actually how it's looking, and this is the outside. This will probably have grass, and this will look very pretty, and I'm thinking of putting a big tree. But now I'm unsure about that because of the fact that the entire top of the house I'm planning to have is pretty much glass. It will be like a big old dome, which I'm actually really excited about. Now, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm planning to actually have the kitchen towards the back of the house. So, I will have basically my botanical gardens, but I'm planning to kind of have this kind of kitchen-ish space where I have cauldrons and all this